Boy, a lot of people look forward to a visit from Brian Duffy to find out what he's going to create before your very eyes. That's the thing that gets us, Brian. We look at the sheet. There's nothing on there right now.
Yeah.
Zero.
No paint by numbers. No
paint by numbers,
lines,
little numbers, no little lines. I've got to fill it in on my own.
Nothing up his sleeve.
Yeah, we'll see what's up there today. So, all along we've been doing the various candidates that are running for president in 2016 and all of them that have been coming to Iowa. But I'm going to backtrack a little bit. We're going to take a look at somebody that's been in the news, virtually every single day. I mean, he sucks up all the oxygen in the room as far as, TV, any kind of media.
Is that part of our fault too? Some people were arguing on social media the other day that it's partly media's fault that we keep talking about it, which is giving him power.
I think it partially is. We're not looking at the issues themselves. We're looking at kind of a hysteria.
Right.
And that's what we're going to talk about today.
All right.
We're going to talk about hysteria and...
It is hysteria.
Hysteria.
Oh, okay.
Very good.
But we're going to talk about that and also the whole anti-immigration, movement and philosophy that's attacking the United States again. And the thing is, it's not new. I mean, this has been going on.
We're almost repeating history.
We're repeating history.
And not good history.
Not good history either. So now, Donald Trump actually, let's start him out. Now, Donald Trump's real name is, his grandfather came to the United States, I think, in the 1880s, and immediately, or sometime, probably in the early 1900s, changed his name from Drumpf. Drumpf. D-R-U-M-P-F.
Drumpf.
Not a good name.
Not a good name.
Really?
Drumpf.
Friedrich Drumpf to
I didn't know that.
Frederick Trump. Now, the probable reason for that is that there was some very strong anti-German sentiment in the United States at that time.
There was like a war or something.
I think there was a war going on. I think it was the war to end all wars, and how'd that work out?
Yeah. It made more.
Yeah. So he changed his name. But at that time, and let's just take Iowa for example. I mean, at that time, back in the early 1900s, there were quite a few German immigrants in the United States and in Iowa, especially.
Tons, yeah.
A lot of them.
There were German newspapers in Iowa.
That's exactly right. There were a lot of German newspapers in Iowa. And what happened was the outbreak of World War I, there was a law passed and signed by the governor of our fair state at the time, William Harding, which stated that it banned anybody from communicating in any language other than English, especially German. So a lot of these German newspapers actually disappeared at that time. Now, also I think there were 4 housewives in Scott County that had been on a party line on the telephone and were charged with speaking German.
Seriously?
Yes, and they had to pay a $220 fine.
That's a lot of money back then. Holy
It's a lot of money. So, for all of these people to be taking shots at immigrant groups that come over now, they seem to forget that they themselves were immigrants, or their ancestors were at one time. We're going to put a pair of lederhosen on him.
Sounds good.
Anybody that doesn't know what lederhosen is, that's these are traditional German garb.
You've never been to Oktoberfest if you don't know.
Yeah, and if you have forgotten what they look like, next time cut back on the beer.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to me how we do this time after time, and actually, what happened back in the early 1900s, we had terrorist attacks back then. There was a bombing at the armory on Black Tom Island, which is right next to Ellis Island in New York. in which there were a handful of deaths and also quite a bit of damage.
Back then it was always anarchists, wasn't it?
Those were German. They claimed those were German spies.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So we'll put a DD Donald Trump on here. But too many times we take a look at a group and we decide that we're just going to stereotype all of them are our enemy. You know, we did that. We had internment camps back in World War I for Germans also. And obviously, we all know what happened during World War II. So
I read yesterday something I didn't know, and you might know more about this because you were in the business. But when the hostage crisis was going on in Iran, when the Shah got kicked out and the Ayatollah was put in, that for a while President Carter said we don't want Iranians coming here. Can you clear me up on that? Because I just read that yesterday, that there was some sort of a restriction passed back.
You know, I don't remember that issue being a big deal. You know, and that's what's also changed with the way that we're looking at terrorism. You know, one small event comparatively can completely change the whole complexion of the country. And we're seeing that again this time around. But we're also seeing these people prey upon the fears of you know, the citizens out there and not really trying to explain what's going on. And we fall back in that pattern time and time again.
Wow. All right, just some things to think about. Now, if people want to see some of your work, where can they find your work? BrianDuffyCartoons.com and Duffy Inc. on Twitter. There you go. Wonderful. Great job.
Nice
I love the
stuff.
knickers. Love the knickers.
Yes,
Is
sir.
it Drump with a D, his original name? Drump.
Donald Trump.
Drump.
Trump.
Yes.
There you go. Use that in conversation
As I
at your
say,
coffee
next time
break
we
That
today.
look on a tower,
Next
you know?
time you see him,
Drunk tower.
he's coming back to the city at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. I'd love for someone to go up to him and use his original given.
Hello, Mr. Trump. How are you?
Yes, exactly.
See what his response is.
Or, yeah, and ask him how, you know, how he would feel if his grandfather had been treated the way that he is attempting to treat Muslims coming into this country, or Hispanics.
There it is.
There you go.
All right. Well done.